Hey there, I'm Joe Carter. If you've ever popped the hood and thought, where do I even start? You're in good company. Around here, we take the mystery out of car repair, one fix at a time. Whether you're a beginner or just looking to sharpen your skills, there's something here for you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're into learning without the headaches. All right, that's enough from me. Let's get into it.
As we see on the scheme of all-wheel drive VAZ 2121, the transfer case is a link between the gearbox and drive shafts, which transmit torque to the differentials of the rear and front axles. In the case of neither, the transfer case is a separate transmission unit, but on most cars its housing is screwed to the gearbox, so the cardan to the front axle is absent as such. The all-wheel drive system with such transfer case is called full-time. Principle of operation of the transfer box. Schematic device on the example of VAZ 2121. When driving on stable surfaces with high traction properties in the permanent all-wheel drive is not necessary, so the sliding clutch 8 through the hub 7 articulates the drive shaft 12, which receives torque from the engine, with the pinion of the highest gear 6. The splines of the high gear are in engagement with the constant mesh gear of the intermediate shaft. From it the torque is transmitted to the driven pinion, 29, and differential, 23. In this mode of operation, torque distribution is determined by the level of rolling resistance of the wheels on the front and rear axles. Uniform distribution of traction force on axles is carried out by interaxle differential lock mechanism, 23. Acting on the differential control lever in the passenger compartment, the driver moves the sliding clutch, 31, thus articulating the drive shaft of the front axle, 32, with the teeth on the differential housing. In this way, the satellites are no longer involved in the differential, resulting in an even distribution of torque between the front and rear drive shafts. Downshift row. The driver, by changing the position of the lever, moves the clutch, 8, through the hub, 7, provoking the locking of the drive shaft, 12, with the lower pinion, 9. The difference between the pinions of the drive shaft is in the gear ratio, which, when the reduction gear is engaged, provides a stable minimum speed, an increase in the torque transmitted to the wheels. Part-time. The transfer case in the part-time all-wheel drive system does not have an interaxle differential. By default, the rear axle is the drive axle. Front-wheel drive is forced on the driver at will. The lack of a differential means that all-wheel drive can only be engaged on surfaces with a reduced traction coefficient. If this advice is ignored, the forces arising from the different wheel speeds when turning will very quickly put the transfer case out of action. Video with disassembly of the transfer case part-time. To summarize, the processes inside the transfer case can be reduced to moving the sliding clutches that change the combinations of rotating gears. The sliding clutch forks can be moved either directly via levers in the passenger compartment or by pressing keys on the dashboard. In the latter case, the clutch movement is carried out by a servo drive, which is attached to the transfer case. The part-time system is equipped with Toyota Land Cruiser 70, Opel Frontera, Great Wall Hover, UAZ and many other off-road vehicles. Why part-time and full-time are no longer relevant, but since for SUVs and parkettes, used mostly in urban areas, reliability of mechanical locks is not so important, it becomes inexpedient to put up with rather serious disadvantages of the archaic transfer case. Negative side, impossibility to realize dynamic all-wheel drive, at which a mono-wheel drive car, getting into certain road conditions. Without driver's participation becomes all-wheel drive. Poor controllability of cars with full-time transfer cases, impossibility to constantly use interaxle differential lock in full-time systems and to connect the second driving axle in part-time on road sections, where clean asphalt alternates with slippery sections. Advantages of modern all-wheel drive systems. Modern all-wheel drive systems make it possible to implement interaxle and inter-wheel differential locking by means of ECU and sensor equipment. By detecting wheel slippage with the help of ABS sensors, the system brakes the freely rotating wheels with the brake pads. This equalizes the rolling resistance force on both sides of the axle. The torque can therefore always be transmitted to the drive axle with a higher traction coefficient. This is how the electronic differential lock simulation works. Briefly consider the device and principle of operation of transfer boxes of modern all-wheel drive systems. Viscous coupling. The disadvantage of the visco coupling is in the delayed actuation, weak force that keeps the friction and steel discs coupled. Therefore, the visco coupling overheats during active actuation. The viscous clutch can be installed in the transfer case or at the rear differential. Torque on demand. At the moment, the torque on demand four-wheel drive transmission is the most perfect for use on SUVs and parkettes. Features of the device. Of the most common types of transfer cases: TOD, electronically controlled hydrodynamic clutch. In the transfer case design, there is no interaxle differential, but there is a downshift row. Engagement of both axles is carried out by a surging clutch, which presses the friction package. The pressing force depends on the amount of current supplied to the solenoid valve. Torque transmission between the gear wheels of the input and output shafts is carried out by a chain gear transmission. The device and principle of operation of the transfer case with chain transmission are perfectly shown on the video, https://www. YouTube.com. Watch. V equals XFXCIQ. In conclusion, the transfer case plays a crucial role in the functionality of four-wheel drive vehicles, enabling them to navigate diverse terrains with ease. By understanding its organization and operation, we gain insight into how power is distributed to all four wheels, enhancing traction and stability. Whether you're an off-road enthusiast or simply curious about automotive mechanics, appreciating the intricacies of the transfer case can deepen your knowledge of vehicle performance. Thank you for watching, and we hope this exploration has shed light on this essential component of four-wheel drive systems.